Welcome back to another episode of the Directory of Social Change's Charity Questions. We're on season 2, and we're very lucky to have with us today Ross Hardy, one of my new colleagues at DSC. And I say new, but Ross has been here for it feels like a little bit longer than a new employee these days. And we're here to talk to Ross a little bit about why he joined DSC, a little bit about the kind of voluntary roles he's had in the past, but also for anybody that might be listening to this, we're also here to talk about what working in the charity sector is like and how joining the charity sector as somebody who is new to the charity sector, what that experience is like. And maybe we did some stuff at DSC that helped, but also maybe there's some other things that are going on in the sector that is helpful for new members of the charity sector to hear about, to experience, and that sort of stuff. So welcome, Ross, and well, thank you for joining us at Charity Questions.
Thanks, George. Yeah, it's great to be here. Feel very honoured to be invited on.
No worries, no worries. So
Yeah.
we could definitely talk to Ross about loads of things, history wise, and you've shown just in your kind of short time here how much knowledge you have there. But we're going to stick to charity sector stuff today, and so we're just going to jump in. When did you join DSC? Let's get that in.
So I joined last year in July, which feels simultaneously like it was 5 minutes ago, but also like I've been here for about 10 years. It's kind of strange the way time works like that. But yeah, it's been great so far.
Yeah, you kind of instantly kind of hit the ground running, didn't you? And I think that does kind of
Yeah.
help you embed a little bit quicker. So tell the listeners then what you do for DSC.
So I work on the research team at DSC, and obviously there are lots of different pieces of work going on in the research team, but I focus mostly on the funding guides. So as you say there, I hit the ground running. I, in my first week, got trained to work on our kind of company giving funding guides, so all about kind of corporate giving and how companies in the UK interact with charities. And since then, because we kind of finished that now, it's gone off to publication, hopefully, and now I'm working on the Guide to New Trusts. DSC has very generously given me the title of lead author, so I'm very excited about that, and that's all going well too.
Yeah, and you say generous, but absolutely a challenge comes with that, but definitely
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
well placed. So working on the funding guides, you got lead author now, which is incredible. So quickly that's kind of come round. But obviously this isn't your kind of first foray into publications as such. Do you want to just tell the listeners kind of what other voluntary roles you've had and a little bit about that background as well?
Yeah, definitely. So I used to write for a think tank based out in Madrid. Called RIA, and that's international relations think tank. It's the Research Advisory for International Affairs,
Yeah.
and it was great. I mean, I think that was a really good first experience of doing some really good voluntary work because you're there all together, similar age, because it's kind of designed for university level students and graduates who write about things that are passionate for, and of course, it's a great platform then as well to publish those things. So. Yeah, really rewarding. I spent 18 months there. I became an editor eventually, and then yeah, finally, I kind of gave that up at the start of the year. With no regrets, but it was a great time. And so yeah, this is my full time now at DSC.
Nice. We're lucky to have you. What were you just recently published on as well? Just mind the listeners might be interested.
Published on DSC.
At the IRA. Did you
Oh,
recently?
I my most recent article was. God, it's an interesting question. Now, I mean, I wrote a lot about Sri Lanka and their economic crisis, and then a lot about Latin America as well, because that's some of my background with university. And it was a very broad range of different articles. But towards the end, I was mainly editing rather than writing myself. But
Fine.
it was great either way. Yeah.
Nice. So you've joined the charity sector now full time. I know you obviously got that a lot of experience writing in a voluntary capacity, and now you're here full time. Is there anything you enjoy about the charity sector that maybe you couldn't find elsewhere, or potentially is just kind of unique to the charity sector?
Yeah, it's an interesting question because I think if you'd asked me a few years ago if I could see myself working in the charity sector, I probably wouldn't have given it any thought at the time. I never really expected to, but I think since joining, I've really felt that, at least at DSC, and if DSC is representative for the sector, there is a real feeling of kind of cohesion and a kind of sense of common purpose. That there is, when you're having a difficult day, writing a funding guide or chasing up a charity for information or any of those things, there is that kind of reassurance that, well, somewhere down the line, this work is helping someone.
Mm,
So I think that personally for me, that gives me more motivation than working in a different sector that maybe wouldn't have that kind of rewarding feeling.
Absolutely. And we've kind of spoke about that on other podcasts before, specifically kind of where we're located at DSC. We are in that central location. So we do have fingers in a lot of pies, and it can be quite easy to get that kind of relationship to the social change that we're working on. And
Oh yeah,
you're the
definitely.
same as me, Ross. I think I found a good role, and it just happened to be in the charity sector. And I think that seems to be what
Yeah.
you're kind of saying as well. But then once you're here, you can see why people will enjoy the sector and stay. So for any maybe some CEOs or some managers out there that are maybe trying to entice people into new jobs, or people who've got open vacancies at their charities, you being kind of new to the sector, is there any one thing you would recommend to people who maybe are ready to make that jump and join a charity?
Yeah, and yeah, definitely. I think the main thing is because when I was first applying for this role, I was really attracted to the role and it looked great. And I did think, oh, this is a new sector for me. And it's one of those things where it's almost like you're not ready to make the jump until you do. It's almost like you look back and go, yeah, I've really learned so much. And I think I would recommend to people, be aware that when you come into this, you might have so much to learn, but there will be so many people willing to teach you these things, at least based on my experience, because I came into this barely knowing anything about the sector, and I've been given so many reading recommendations and guidance
Mm,
and help, and everyone. And I think it comes back to that common purpose that I mentioned before. It's that when helping people is at the heart of what you do, it comes almost as instinct to you to help new people in your organization. So I think that really it really shows with the work that DSC does, and how welcome I've been made to feel. So yeah, I would definitely recommend people remember that everyone was where you were at one point. No one was born into the charity sector, so everyone has to learn these things, and everyone will do their best to help and support you.
absolutely. I think you've said that so nicely there, that when you're kind of working with people as at the heart of what you do, it becomes naturally to support your colleagues as well. And I think we see that all over, don't we? It can almost, working with people can come at kind of that massive challenge and that burden sometimes as well, doesn't it? Where maybe we're for whatever reason unable to deliver the projects we want, but at the same time we still have that capacity internally to treat each other fairly and with respect. And we're not driving profit, we're not selling software to banks, which obviously can be
Yeah.
a valuable thing to do, but it's not necessarily what we're focused on here, is it? We're helping people. I love that. Any one thing specifically then that DSC did? I know you mentioned kind of a few things there, but any one thing that maybe a charity listening to this could take away and implement in their own kind of recruitment plan?
Yeah, I think it comes down to the culture here, and I know that that's such a buzzword when we talk about companies, the culture, what a work culture is, and there's essays and essays written about the topic. But I think if there's one takeaway that I've had from working here now for sort of since July, it's that you are really treated as an adult here, and you
Mm,
are respected. Respect is kind of given here, and some people say, "Oh, respect is earned and not given," but I think
mm,
that here it was really readily available, and it's I think if you want to kind of grow your workforce and entice people, like you say, then I think you need to be very communicative with that culture that you have. And DSC has done so much in that regard, whether it's because obviously my main work I've had lots of training for, and I've got on really well with my colleagues, and it's all been very interesting. But the kind of more peripheral things that we offer at DSC, like as you well know, George, we have a wellbeing team that has,
absolutely.
that is a priority for us. We have our wellbeing team, and we offer our training to our own kind of employees, and it's not just charity training. There's a lot of personal development, and I think being told from the start, listen, these are all the things that are on offer to you, and having that made so clear to me from the start really helped me to
Mm,
kind of progress in the last year almost, or half a year. And it's hard to keep track sometimes of how long it's been, because it has just been such a I kind of learn something new every day with it, and I think that's something that's really rewarding. But DSC has really been there to kind of guide that learning, and to kind of welcome me to the sector. And I think, yeah, probably a combination of all those things really.
absolutely. Yeah. Well, you're unique as well, Ross. Not many people are able to get lead author status so quickly, and it's a product of the work you do, and how kind of that precedent you set early on. And you've been a very active member of the team. So just what Ross said earlier about being in the wellbeing team, we have a number of working groups at DSC. If you've not heard us talk about this on previous podcasts, and you stepped up straight away to join that. And so our wellbeing team, me, you, and a few others, we look after staff surveys, staff days, all those things that maybe could fall under personnel or HR in some organizations, which rightfully or wrongly so, that's a different way to do it, obviously, but we do that as the staff. I think that's really nicely said, actually. And it's great that you kind of can get involved with things. And I think maybe in the sector as well, sometimes we're always looking for people who have a little bit of interest in fundraising as well as finance, or kind of multiple hats. I see a lot of CEOs and staff wearing multiple hats in their small charities. So having that kind of capacity is really powerful.
Yeah, and I think, as you say, that having the staff involved, having the staff take ownership of so much of these things really does ground that culture of respect, because it's not like, okay, well, you're the workers and we're the leadership and we make the decisions and you listen. There is a dialogue, and of course, not every dialogue is always 100% perfect and brilliant. There are going to be tensions and pushback, and I think it would be unrealistic of me to come here and say that everything's perfect 100% of the time. But I think on those rare instances that it's not, there is a very good kind of methodology in place to deal with those things and to have that dialogue.
Absolutely. And then if you even then beyond that, you've got the trust as well, ultimately, in the people making those decisions. Really nice, Ross. And I think just to kind of summarize, so you've just joined DSC, but also the charity sector with a background kind of in publication work. And since that point, just kind of taken on multiple things at DSC, obviously grown your role substantially. And you're thinking about encouraging people to join the sector is about kind of getting people who want that freedom to have kind of delegated authority of what they're doing rather than kind of micromanagement. Is there anything else you wanted to share with the listeners today, though, Ross, before we finish?
Yeah, I think just be open-minded. If you are one of those people that is considering joining a new role and it's in a new sector, and maybe you have a longer background than I have in a different sector, it can be very difficult to kind of change your ways. But old dogs can still learn new tricks, as they say. Have a go if it's something that you're interested, because you will be met with a really welcoming community of people that are ready to share what they know and also learn alongside with you as well. It never feels like one person knows everything and the other person knows nothing. There is a very equal feeling here. So give it a go, take the plunge.
Absolutely. Love it. So that's it. Take the plunge, join the charity sector, come with us on this amazing journey to drive social change. So thank you all for listening. And that was another episode of DSC's Charity Questions podcast. Thanks, everybody. Cheers. Thank you for watching Charity Questions by the Directory of Social Change. So this is the podcast where we bring charity experts to you and we ask them the questions that you provide us via social media. So if you want to get involved, please check out the Directory of Social Change on Instagram, Twitter, or LinkedIn. And of course, to hear more about this content and to learn more about Charity Questions, subscribe to our YouTube channel now. And of course, like this video to let us know if you enjoyed it. Thank you very much for watching. Cheers.